Until the trade deadline at the beginning of February, the Detroit Pistons are going to continue to get rumors circling around them. There's going to be mock trades, and we're going to discuss some of these mock trades, some of these recent rumors we've heard concerning the Detroit Pistons in today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Ku Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked On Network, been a credentialed media member now for the last 3 years. And I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Later on in the podcast, we will discuss Ausar Thompson's role in the offense, why that's become such a big talking point, and whether the Pistons and whether he has found what his best role is within this offense. We'll also talk about a little later this upcoming home stretch the Pistons have in front of them that could really help them continue to create some bit of space between them and the second-seeded New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics, who are creeping up and playing some really good basketball. But we're going to start with the trade rumors that are going to continue to circulate around this team. I know there's some fans out there, and I know that there's some listeners out there that don't want to hear about trades. They're mad that trades are being brought up. They'd rather just listen or watch, I should say, not listen, watch their team and these guys that they've grown with. But that's just not going to be the case. The Pistons are going to be linked to these rumors. You're going to hear the Pistons involved in a bunch of stuff, whether it's true or false. You're going to continue to hear a lot of this stuff until the first week of February when this trade deadline passes by, because the Pistons, according to a ton of people, are a prime candidate to make a move to really try to take another jump up not really up the standings, but to really try to secure what is a wide open Eastern Conference this year. So how I want to do this is I want to start with the 3 mock trades Bleacher Report made about the Pistons today. That's one. Then I want to talk about some of the recent reporting, or recent rumors, I should say. I don't know if I should call them reporting. Recent rumors we heard the same day, Monday I'm recording this. And then I want to talk about what I have heard as well. We're going to try to hit on all 3 of those things here. So let's go ahead and start with the mock trades first. Bleacher Report, like I mentioned, came out with 3 mock trades for the Detroit Pistons. I liked 2 of them. I did not like one of them. So we'll start with the first one. The first one is the Pistons trading for Trey Murphy. They get Trey Murphy, Jose Alvarado, and Kevon Looney, and the Pistons are trading to get them Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Chaz Lanier, a 2026 and 2028 first-round pick, and a 2029 first-round swap. That first trade, that is probably the package that it would take to get Trey Murphy. I like Jose Alvarado, too, as a bench piece. I really like Trey Murphy. I don't like him as much as I once did, but he is still probably 1 or 2 on the Pistons' top-tier trade targets, the best fits for this team. I think I would take that deal. I don't think that's... You're basically giving up Tobias for salary matching. Jay and Ivey, which we'll get to a little bit later when I talk about what I've heard, doesn't have the greatest value right now. So it really is you're trading 2 first-round picks and a first-round pick swap. Chaz is a second-round pick that he's not holding too much value there. And you're getting back Trey Murphy, who you think is like the next piece to really elevate the rest of your guys, and Jose Alvarado, who's a really good bench guard, I think. And then Kevon Looney really is just there for vet presence, I'd say. So I think I would do that first trade. Second trade is Michael Porter Jr. and Jalen Wilson to the Detroit Pistons. Everyone knows that MPJ is number 1 on my trade target list. And the Pistons, in order to get MPJ, they are trading Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, and a 2027 first-round pick. I've told you guys, well, one, I would do this trade. I think it's going to take a lot more than this to get MPJ anyway, so I don't think the Pistons will be able to get him. If this deal was available, I think the Pistons would be pretty interested, but I don't think it's going to cost more than this to get MPJ. But I've told you guys now, for quite a bit, for like maybe a month and a half, 2 months now, that the package that will be floated around the trade deadline, that they will sniff around and see, do we get something crazy with this, is Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, and first-round pick. Now, again, that doesn't mean they will do this. It doesn't mean they're actively trying to get rid of Tobias or actively whatever. But that is the package that will get sniffed around, like, okay, well, what could this get us? Well, okay, let's just see what this would get. Like that's what's going to be out there. That package right there, Tobias, Ivey, and a first. I don't think it would get you MPJ, but if that trade was available, I will take it. This third trade is one that I just would not be interested in at all. The Detroit Pistons get Benedict Mathurin. The Pacers get Daniel Gafford, and then Dallas Mavericks get Jaden Ivey and a first-round pick from Detroit. I am not interested in Benedict Mathurin. The Pacers don't want to pay Benedict Mathurin. You end up in the same kind of financial situation that you are with Ivey right now when it comes to him being a restricted free agent and the cap hold, all that kind of stuff. Same situation you'd end up with Benedict Mathurin, except I have just as many questions about Benedict Mathurin. Now, I think you could say Benedict Mathurin is better than Ivey. He's scoring more. He's been pretty efficient. Or not, I don't want to say pretty efficient. He's been around league average efficiency this year. I have a lot of questions about Benedict Mathurin along with his finishing ability and his shot selection and his defense. Like, I'm not a big fan of Benedict Mathurin, so I'm definitely not trading a first-round pick for him. If I'm trading a first-round pick for anybody, it's for a guy I think is a needle mover. I'm not trading a first-round pick for another scorer, first guard that doesn't really offer anything else and isn't a great playmaker and has questions about how good of a scorer they actually are. Like, I'm not trading a first-round pick for that. You basically have that exact kind of questions with Jaden Ivey. I'd rather just stick with Jaden Ivey and let it go at the end of the year at that point. I'm not giving up a first-round pick for that. So those are the three trades that Bleacher Report leaked out. I do think you'll continue to hear the Pistons' name around Trey Murphy especially, which we're about to talk about coming up, and MPJ. I think you'll even start to hear their name maybe pop up in the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade rumors, which apparently to recent rumors or reports today is that once the Memphis Grizzlies, which seems like inevitable that they trade Ja Morant, they will start to take calls on JJJ as well. And JJJ is another guy that I think should be towards the top of the Pistons wish list. I think he's a perfect fit with Jalen Duren. The defense would be out of this world. I think he's towards the top of their list as well. So I think you might even see them linked to him if that ends up becoming the case. All right, so now I want to get to some of the reporting that we've gotten from Brett Siegel of Clutch Points concerning the Detroit Pistons, because we've gotten quite a bit from him today. The main part that there was a paragraph for the Detroit Pistons in his article today, so I want to go ahead and just read that paragraph, but now I want to read everything else he said, because there were some other things said here. He says, there's just really two sentences that matter here. Despite rumors existing about the Detroit Pistons possibly looking to capitalize on the success they found during the first half of the season by making an all-in trade at the deadline, multiple league sources have pushed back against the Pistons going away from their core group. That includes key secondary talents like Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, and Isaiah Stewart. So, end quote. There was a few other things he said in here, but we'll get to that. But those are the main two sentences I think Pistons fans will take from that, and they will walk away saying, oh, the Pistons aren't making any deals. They're not trading Tobias. They're not trading Jaden Ivey. They're not trading Stu, even though, like, calling Stu a secondary talent, I think it's incorrect. I think he's a core guy. But you get the point. I think that would be the big takeaway there. However, Brett also goes on to say that the Detroit Pistons have been rumored to be interested as well, that they've called, or not called, I shouldn't say. They have shown interest as well in Con Sexton. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. We'll wait and see. We'll find out what's going on with the Pistons. But them being linked to Colin Sexton potentially as like a guy that they're interested in, if that is true, that doesn't spell good things for Jaden Ivey, because they're basically the exact same player, except Colin Sexton's a little bit better right now as an individual scorer. They're basically the same exact player though. So if they are interested in that guy, that doesn't say too many great things about Jaden Ivey's future, if that is indeed the case that they have shown interest in, Colin Sexton. The other thing I want to point out here before I get to what I've heard along with all of this is one of the best follows, I would say, in the Twitter community along the Pelicans community, does some great work over on his Substack as well. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Shamit Dua. He's very linked in with the Pelicans organization. Very, very linked in. And he knows what he's talking about. A great follow, great sub over on his Substack. So, basically, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's saying. And apparently on his last podcast, he hinted at that the Pistons were one of the teams that have sniffed around Trey Murphy. If he is saying that, there's some truth to it. He is very, very locked into what's going on in the Pistons or in the Pelicans front office, in the organization. If that's true, if he's saying that, then you can definitely buy into that. That is not one of those, oh, he might be telling the truth or he's not. If he's saying that, you need to read into it. That is definitely true then at that point. So you're hearing conflicting things. You're hearing that the Pistons don't want to move on from this guy, or the Pistons are hesitant to make this move. You're hearing that the Pistons are interested in this guy. They've shown interest in that guy. So we went through the mock trades. We went through some of the recent rumors that we've gotten from Brett Siegel and Shamit Dua, and there's been some other ones as well that I'm not going to get to here. Now I want to end it with what have I heard over the last few weeks to go along with this. All I can add on to this is that it still, as of right now, I don't think anyone can say exactly what the Detroit Pistons, my headphone's dying and it keeps saying in my ear, dying, it's messing me up. I will say that as of right now, there is nobody I feel like that can say for sure what the Pistons are going to do. Because everything I've heard as of late is this is a team that is very undecided and still trying to figure out what route is best because of how much success they've had. Before, they were team definitely not making any type of move for real. We're just going to let this ride out. But because of this recent success, I can tell you guys there is more uncertainty around that. There is more uncertainty, and no one, I feel like, really has a complete 100% grasp on what are the Pistons going to do, including the Pistons themselves. So I think that's something to pay attention to, I should say. We don't know yet. There is a lot of uncertainty around this because of the success the Pistons have had. I will say that I have heard that they do have interest in Trey Murphy. I have heard that they have interest in adding another shooter, adding another scorer to the team. And I'll just simply say, guys to watch for, I think, right now until the lead up to the trade deadline. I would watch for Jaden Ivey's future with the team. I would watch for Caris LeVert's future on this team. And this one, I don't think, I know the Pistons don't want to move this guy, but I would also just pay attention to. I would just pay attention to Tobias Harris potentially moving. Those are the three guys I'd watch for. Tobias Harris to a lesser extent. I don't believe the Pistons want to move him. But I would definitely be watching from here until the trade deadline, Jaden Ivey and Caris LeVert's future with this team. So let me know, comment section down below, where do you guys stand with the three mock trades, some of the recent reporting, from what I've heard. Just tell me where you guys stand as of right now with the Detroit Pistons. Let me know, comment section down below, or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. Coming up, Ausar Thompson's role in the offense. What is it? What should you be expecting of him on the offensive end of the floor? Is he keeping up his end of the bargain? We'll address all of it and talk about it coming up. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens and guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Seeing the view from your seat before buying makes choosing tickets easy and super confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. Features like zone deals help unlock great seats and even better value. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Now I got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Zocdoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in-network, nearby with availability. But you also want a doctor who really listens, makes you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. Being able to choose in-person or video visits make scheduling way easier. The real-time availability means you can book instantly, no phone tag. Appointments usually happen within 24 to 72 hours, and they even have same-day opening. So stop putting off those doctor appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA, ZocDoc.com/LockedInNBA. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I want to talk about Ausar Thompson in today's episode. Ausar Thompson, I start to realize is a pretty hot rod of a player apparently. Recently with the community, which is puzzling to me. But I want to talk about his offensive side of the game because that's where I'm seeing a lot of discourse about Ausar. And I'm going to bring up something that we talked about in the last podcast, actually. Before we get to his offensive role, like I said in the last podcast, everybody on this team has a role. Everyone on this team needs to fulfill their role. And if players are able to exceed that role, that is great. But everyone on this team has a role that they're supposed to play in contributing to this team's success. And I'd say overall, almost everyone has hit that role and done what they're supposed to do because the Pistons are first in the East and they're one of the best teams in the entire NBA. So I'd say almost everyone has played to their role and done what they've needed to do to help contribute to these wins. As I've mentioned last, obviously, Cage is the superstar. He really does everything. Jalen Duren, coming into the year, I don't know if his role was to be the primary set or the real secondary option, secondary shot creator, but that's what it's become. He's exceeded what his role expectation was coming into this year. That's great. His role, get rebounds, be a great lob threat, but now it's create some secondary offense and be that guy on the offensive end of the floor. That's what his role is. We've talked about Isaiah Stewart's role. Come off the bench, be an impact defensive player, start transition and fast break opportunities with plays at the rim, and be that physical presence. That's what his role is. Ron Holland, he comes into the game, wrecking force, Tasmanian devil, just makes things happen. Sometimes it looks really ugly. You don't know how he does it. You don't know how he scores sometimes. But he's just to come in, cause a bunch of havoc, and make things happen on both ends of the floor, especially on the defensive end of the floor. You're not asking him to create his own shot a ton. You're not really even wanting him to be this three-point shooter, which I talked about why it's a problem that he's shooting so many threes for this team in the last episode. He shouldn't be being asked to shoot this many threes. It's only happening because they have no one else that can. So you're having guys that shouldn't be doing it in Ron. But that's not really what his role should be. Like, you just keep going down and down the list. Danis, come in and provide backup point guard stability in the second unit. Caris LeVert, his role is to come in and provide some scoring punch on the ball off the bench. Now, he's been on and off with that, but that's what his role was coming into this year. Be that guy off the bench that can provide on-ball scoring juice and create advantages within the second unit when Cade's off the floor. Like, again, you just go through Duncan Robinson, movement three-point shooter. Be this guy that spaces the floor. Get a bunch of threes up. Run DHOs. That's what his role is within this team. Everyone has a role they have to adhere by. And Ausar Thompson's role is to be one of the best defenders in the league, be the best wing defender in the league, which I think he's check both of those. He's going to be all defensive first team, I think, this year. He's insane on the defensive end of the floor. All the metrics back that up as well, how great he is defensively. I believe he's top 6 in EPM, defensive EPM right now. He's incredible. So that's his role is to be one of the best defenders in the league on the perimeter, stop whoever at the point of attack, be an otherworldly perimeter defender. Like, that's what his role is to be. And now we'll go over to the offensive end of the floor. His role offensively is, I don't know. And it felt like coming into the year, the Pistons didn't really know. Ausar didn't really know. And they were trying to figure out what is the role we want Ausar to be on offense. And Nekias Duncan, who I think everyone probably knows who he is, but he does a great job on the Dunker Spot podcast. He was on, if you happen to watch JJ Redick's podcast, Old Man the Three, before he became the head coach, he was on there every Friday with him, and Steve Jones would go on there every Friday and talk with JJ. And Nekias does a great job covering the NBA. Probably the best, to be honest, covering the NBA, if you want me to be real. But Nekias, I remember he was tweeting me about a month ago, and he was saying, Ausar is one of the more interesting guys I've been able to watch this year. I asked him what makes it so interesting. And he was like, because you can clearly see that he's one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. He wreaks havoc defensively. He's special talent defensively. He's an alien at the point of attack. He's versatile, whatever. But at the same time, you can clearly see that the team is trying to figure out what is the role they want for him offensively. And he talked about how he was having fun watching them try to use him in different ways, watching him be utilized different ways, and personally trying to figure out what he believed is like the right role for Ausar. So that was like a month ago. I don't know what Ausar Thompson's role is within this team offensively. I think he's achieved what his role is. What the team needs from him, he is hitting that role. He has been one of the best defenders in the league. I think he's the best point of attack defender in the league. He's the best screen navigator in the league. He's insane on that end. So he's holding up his end of the bargain on that end. But there is another end of the floor that he has to find what that role is. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what the Pistons, I don't think the Pistons really know what they want from him either. Because the first month of the year, the first 15 games or so of the year, the role clearly was on-ball initiator, secondary ball handler. We want you getting downhill. We want you getting to the rim, draw these fouls. If you're not hitting your free throws, we don't care. We want you to be this aggressive half-court slasher. Utilize your playmaking as well. We want you to be that secondary guy. We want you to be that secondary ball handler. And that's how they use him for the majority of the first half of this, for the first month or so of the season, for maybe month and a half. The first 15 games of the year, he had a free throw rate of nearly like 36%. It was crazy. He was averaging 13 points a game on 52% shooting while maintaining the defensive impact that he's had all throughout the year. So the beginning of the year, first month, it was secondary ball handler, attack and transition, be this slasher. And eventually your free throw percentage will come around, but we want you to just be that slasher. That's how it was, I'd say, for the first, again, like I said, month and a half of the season. However, recently, over the last, I'd say, since really the road trip, the Western road trip, I would say is when you really start to see like a difference in how they're using him. You're starting to see his on-ball percentage drop. I wish I had the number in front of me. I thought I had it in front of me here, but maybe this was the wrong app for. I was just looking at it the other day. Honestly, I could probably just try to remember it for you guys. Like, for example, in this last game, against the Clippers, he had an on-ball percentage of 8%, and that was the lowest on the team. And over the last month or so, since actually, maybe not a month. Month's probably overdoing it. When was the Western road trip? It was, it's almost a month now. You've started to see them kind of shift in how they're using him now. Now he's going back to being like this off-ball guy in the corner, cutting down the baseline in the corner. They're using him a little bit as a screening guy in pick and rolls, trying to get him involved a little bit in short roll, which I think they could do even more. But really, he's went from being like this on-ball guy to now he's off the ball, kind of standing in the corner. Just basically, they've scaled his role back down, it feels like, to what it was last year, which is get offensive rebounds, cut down the baseline, get cuts to the basket, finish at the rim when we can, and just be a great defender. And it feels like, especially I'd say even more so over the last like 5 games, but it's been trending this way. I'd say it's popping off even more the last 5 games, where that's really what it feels like they're scaling them back to. And that says to me a team that's undecided about how they think that he is best utilized. And I've said this before over and over again, that when everyone came back from health, everyone came back and was playing, I said that this would be a rough spot for some players. And I feel like initially it really hurt Ron. Ron, I thought, he was really bad for about 3 weeks there. But I think a lot of that had to do with so many guys came back and he just didn't really know what his role was. And I think that really impacted him. I think it also has impacted Ausar to a degree. Because once everyone's come back, he's no longer on the ball as much. He's no longer been asked to be the secondary creator within the half court like we saw at the beginning of the year. Because now they have Caris. Now they have Ivey. Now they have Sasser. Now they have Danis. Now, they have all these guys that want the ball in their hands. And now you've seen them scale Ausar back to being more of like this off-ball guy again, which he's effective in that role. He's effective we've seen him be effective in that role last year. But it's hard to really characterize what is Ausar's role within the offense. What is it they want him to be? What should we be holding the bar to? I will say one of the things I've seen in the community, which I just have to speak on real quick, the Pistons need spacing. So why doesn't Ausar just shoot threes? That doesn't make any sense. If you're saying that, just respectfully, I don't want to hear from you. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone has specialties. Everyone has strengths. The team needs spacing. Ausar doesn't need spacing. The team needs spacing. Cade needs spacing. Duren needs more. The team in general is 27 3-point attempts. 3-point rate. They need shooting. It's not Ausar that needs shooting. Everybody on the team in general needs 3-point shooting. And asking your non-shooters to all of a sudden shoot the ball is not how you solve that. You don't solve it by having Ron shoot 7 threes, Ausar shoot whatever it is, threes that some people want him to shoot. That's not how you solve it. I had to just quickly answer that real quickly. But Ausar is in a spot right now where I feel like he's been more indecisive the last 2 weeks offensively about what it is he needs to do. And I think it's really impacting his play on the offensive end of the floor. He's been way up and down defense or on offense. He's had good games. He's had bad games offensively. He's been really up and down the last 2 weeks. I think a lot of it has to do with him just simply not really knowing where he fits in and what it is that his role is. And I don't know if I don't know what his role is. I can't tell you guys what I think his role is. Everyone else on the team, I can tell you what this team wants from them on the offensive end of the floor and on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know what exactly his role is on offense. And I'm interested next time I'm at a game, I want to ask JB about it. I will ask him. I want to find out if he's also, am I seeing this correctly? Are they trying to figure out the best role for him? Or maybe am I not seeing it correctly? Like, I want to hear from him. But what the Pistons need from Ausar is to continue to be one of the best defensive players in the league, continue to be crazy on that end, and you will continue to just be a plus impact player. That's the floor he set for himself. But they need improvement offensively from him. They need him to be more consistent offensively, but they also need to find a consistent role that they want him in that he can be consistently impactful in. Do they want him on ball? Do they want him off ball? If you are going to use him off ball, you need to use him more in short roll situations. You need to use him as a screener more instead of just spotting him up in the corner. If you're going to play him off ball with Stu, then you need Stu to pop then. So Ausar is the one roaming into the paint then. Like, there's been a lot of, I feel like, indecisiveness about what it is they want Ausar's role to be. And it's been like a tale of two halves. Early in the year, he had around like a 20% on-ball percentage. It's down over the last month. So I think they're all trying to figure out what they want from him offensively. Despite that, though, despite the offensive role not really being clear, and people hate to hear this, and we'll wrap it up here, but it's just the simple facts of how the team feels, how the org feels, and how anyone who really pays attention feels. Despite the uncertainty around his offensive role, he is going to play a ton, and he is still going to be an overwhelmingly impactful player because of how good he is defensively. Like, that, I'm sorry. Like, I know people want to be able to say, like, oh, you criticize this player and say he can't play. Why don't you say the same thing about Ausar? I'm sorry. That whatever other player you are bringing up, they just don't have the same level of floor that Ausar has because they're not one of the best in the league at something like he is. Like, he has a baseline that he can hit to where he's just going to be impactful. So that's why he doesn't get killed as much. Because, yeah, you know his offense is a struggle. You got to figure out how to improve the offense. He does need to improve on the offensive end of the floor. You do have to figure out what role it is. That is all true. But he's going to continue to play as much as he plays because of how impactful he overall still is because of how great he is on defense. So I hope that all makes sense. I know there's a lot of people that wanted me to answer the question about what his role is on offense, but I don't really know what to tell you guys. Like, I don't know what his role is. I'm being completely honest. I don't know what to really expect from him night to night on offense. And I think that's the biggest complaint and concern right now when it comes to the offensive game. So let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. How do you guys feel about Ausar Thompson's role in offense? What do you think his role should be within the offense? What do you want to see from him on the offensive end of the floor? Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Ku Khahil. But coming up, the Pistons have a really favorable upcoming home stretch that I think really could continue to set them apart from them and the rest of the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about it coming up.
You know, I carry a lot of responsibility in my household. If something happened to me, there would be serious consequences. We have a mortgage. We got tuition. We got everyday bills. Those aren't going anywhere if something happens to me. And I know that's an overwhelming feeling, but I'm taking steps to protect my family by getting life insurance through Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast, easy, and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LocdownNBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LocdownNBA. That's ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Ethos.com/LocdownNBA. Application times and rates may vary.
So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, to wrap it up here, we all have talked about over and over and over again this Western road trip the Pistons went on earlier this month and how it was the start of some of the slippage that we've saw for them defensively. Obviously, they lost to the Mavericks. They went 3-2 on that stretch. Actually, the Mavericks wasn't part of the long road trip. They were on the road right before it, though. They lost to the Jazz. They lost to the Clippers. And then they ended up losing to the Clippers again, which I know a lot of fans are unhappy about. But that road trip was when a lot of people started noticing slippage, and J.B. Biggerstaff talked about how he felt like there was slippage on this team, especially on the defensive end of the floor, which we talked about on the podcast. But they've rebounded very nicely, I think, since then. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, they beat the New York Knicks, and they beat the Bulls. The Knicks and Cavs games, along with also blowing out the Lakers. They blew out the Lakers after that road trip, or at the end of that road trip. Then they beat the Cavs. Then they destroyed the New York Knicks, and then they beat the Bulls without Cade. So they've rebounded and answered nicely and kind of quieted a lot of that noise. I know the Clippers game was a tough one to lose. I get it, but when you consider all the circumstances, like I don't think people should be like really reading too much into it. Like that you were down your 4 of your top 6 best players, 5 best. Like obviously you're going to be. That's not the team you're going to see throughout the year. So overall, they've bounced back pretty well. To make up for that road trip, though, they have a very, very long home stretch in front of them. It started with the Knicks game, beat them. Bulls were at home, beat them. Then the Clippers, they lost, so they're 2-1. That's 3 straight games at home. To continue the home trip, or the home stretch, I should say, they got the Suns at home on the 15th. They got the Pacers at home on the 17th. They got the Celtics at home on MLK Day, which, by the way, will be streamed nationally. Then they go on the road against the Pelicans, but then go right back home against Houston, home against Sacramento. So we're talking over the next... Starting at the Knicks game, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 9-game stretch where 8 games are at home for you. That is an incredibly good schedule to have. And it's not like you're facing like the best teams in the league. You got, the one road game's at New Orleans. You got the Kings at home. You got the Pacers at home. The Suns are actually better than people thought, but I don't consider them world beaters. Like the real hard, tough games of that schedule I'm really looking forward to is against the Celtics and the Rockets. But you got them at home. So it's a really good schedule, I feel like, for the Pistons to kind of make up the ground if you feel like they lost any ground with the road trip. I think they'll really continue to bounce back, especially if everyone's back healthy. The Knicks are trying to catch up to the Pistons. However, they've just been too inconsistent. The Celtics, by the way, the Knicks are 3.5 games behind the Pistons. Celtics, I think, are going to catch the Knicks, and they're playing really well. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. That's the team I'd really be watching for if I was Detroit. So getting the Celtics and the Knicks over a 5-game spree, I think is a really good way to send a message to the league and be like, and especially a message to the East. Like, we just blew out the Knicks. Now get the Celtics at home on national TV and then handle them as well. I think you then are really sending a message to everybody. You're really going to see the Pistons get talked about a ton. What I expect from them for this road trip, or this home trip, I expect them to beat the Suns, beat the Pacers. I think they'll beat the Celtics, beat the Pelicans. And then I think they might split with the Celtics and Rockets, even though the Rockets are not playing very well right now. I can see the Pistons winning every single one of these games. Suns, Pacers, Celtics, Pelicans, Rockets, and Kings. Heck, and then they go on the road after that, they get the Nuggets, and the Nuggets might not have Jokic then either. So the beginning of the month with that road trip looked pretty tough. As the month goes on, I don't think it's that tough of a schedule for the Pistons. I think they're going to be able to bounce back and get some really good wins here and really go on a win streak here. That Celtics game is what you really need to be watching for in the 19th. I think that's going to be the best game of this trip and really tell you a lot about where these teams measure up against each other. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.